Well, welcome into the OSN The Point After podcast, episode number 13, live from the Cameron studio and the Cetus podcast room. And so we're so grateful that they allow us to kind of invade the studio for a little bit, kind of dress it up the way we need to for the visual effects when it comes to YouTube. But we certainly have you along for the ride. And wow, what a ride it's been. And we're going to talk a little bit about high school football. I got to see a little bit. I know that softball is in, the regionals, the volleyball is kind of underway in the same thing. And, you kind of look up and you say, okay, this is that time of the year where, in football, you start separating. And that's why week 7 is kind of special in that way. You want to be able to download us on the Oklahoma Sports Network on your phone. That's probably the easiest way. I still have some people just going to our website on their phone. And I don't really mean to correct their viewing habits, but I said it's so much easier to download the app, because if you just go to our website on your phone, yeah, you can click to the individual channels, but the advantage of the app is all of the live broadcasts are on the top row. And I'm a lazy person at best. So, if you have it all in front of me where I don't have to do a lot of work, when you download the app, all of the live broadcasts are in the top window. So then you can jump from broadcast to broadcast. And that's the way I like it. Also, Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. For those who subscribe to our YouTube channel, thank you so much. That's still growing. It's fascinating to me about how many will join us new each and every Football Friday when you've got 13 different broadcasts going on at any given time with the high school football. In fact, welcome Bethany. We've already talked about Jones being our newest school. Had Walters last year as our newest addition, so we kind of go all different class sizes throughout the state of Oklahoma. Then we added Jones this year, and then midway through, I just could not say no. I have 2 schools that are going to be joining us, and we'll make that announcement next year, because we really couldn't launch that flight. But I was just so desperate to be able to get that on because of content purposes, for Bethany's sake, because they've got good programs, good basketball as well. And we're looking forward to get Bethany on as soon as possible and not wait a year. So the Bethany Broncos, now part of the Oklahoma Sports Network, 13 schools on the network. And so, yeah, you can just connect any which way on all social media platforms too, on Facebook, on X, on Instagram. You can find us there. So got our special guest it's going to bring into the studio right now, and that's Chris Evans from the Guthrie News page. And I appreciate your time. And I know you really do all the hard work. So I'm really kind of, as I just mentioned, lazy by nature. Someone that's did all the homework, all the hard work, I'm just going to kind of use. And so I've had you on for the last couple of weeks just to talk about high school football, because don't you think, and I know this is fall break for many schools, and that's why most of all of our games, except for 3, are being played on Thursday. If you want to say separation Thursday, because now I'm hearing underlining from coaches on the backdrop of, okay, what is the alignment going to look like through this 1 through 4 through playoffs, and what games are really going to matter. So I'll start with week 7, Chris, is separation Thursday, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, no doubt. And it's one of those things I love postseason football and the brackets. And if this team wins, they finish second, they're on the road or by finishing third. But sometimes it might be a little too early. I know we're week 7, but it's still four games left on the schedule. But you can kind of start getting an idea. And then when you start getting an idea, the more confusing it gets. And we haven't thrown in district points yet. And so, yeah, definitely, though, in your neck of the woods, Eric, by the way, congratulations on the Dirty 13 with the 13 schools. But 5A1 was kind of we were on the road last week. I can remember being Guthrie, and we heard the radio, the scoreboard show, and it was Midwest City beating McGinnis 14-11. Like, oh my gosh, we're trying to figure out playoff scenarios. Now that's completely thrown out of whack. It'll help out a little bit, as you said, separation Thursday with MacArthur's game this week with Midwest City, but the Bombers shocking the Irish.
Well, and that game was played at Bishop McGinnis too. Yeah. So that was the other sidebar of that. And you and I were talking offline a little bit that since they played a lot of Catholic schools and their schedule just didn't have a lot of true comparisons of who beats who. And you can kind of see that in a non-district schedule, but this did not. So we really didn't know where they both stood. And so they stood their ground, and it was back and forth with our updating was like a baseball score, and it was
Yeah.
just kind of like, okay, and a safety here, and then what is going on over here in this game? And of course, I was doing a game, so I really couldn't watch it until afterwards to kind of really get the storyline behind it. But yeah, that was kind of because backing up just a few. Newcastle had already beaten Midwest City, and that score was kind of lopsided. So then you said, okay, well, who is Newcastle? Because they were new to 5A1, coming from the 4A ranks. And so, who is who? And so, yeah, I think for at least for 5A1, there's going to be a lot more settling it out here in the next couple of weeks, because for MacArthur's sake, and that's the crew that I end up following with, is Midwest City this week and then Newcastle the following week. And so that will really kind of make the separations. And you did say that you are really geeked out at the end of the year with numbers and stats and everything for rankings, right? I can really depend on you when it comes to week 10, right?
Oh yeah, I love it. I'll have all the scenarios for each team. If they have to win by 4, they go here. If they win by 5, they go here. But but you said it right earlier with the baseball score with Midwest City. Bombers have had a hard time with points this year and only score 14 points. I wasn't not too surprising that Midwest City scored 14 points, but the Bombers defense held Bishop McGuinness to 11 points. And that's exactly how Midwest City has to win their games is with their defense and field goals and extra points and all the 2-point conversions, however it unfolded. I was unable to watch it as well. I was in El Reno on that night and came by Bishop McGuinness and still had the lights on. I was like, I wonder if they're still out there. I wonder if they're out there practicing right now after only getting 11 points on the scoreboard for from the home crowd. But
at least they aren't like the Dallas Cowboys, though, I guess. So it's not quite that bad, right?
We don't have that much of a time on this show, and it's a family show as well. So,
yeah. Okay.
That
so I will
from
say,
the Detroit Lions guy too, though.
There you go. That's right. I had to sneak one in there. Okay, so that was probably the big surprise in 5A. Was there anybody else? Because I really didn't see anything on the radar that jumped off the page of, oops, that was, we had several in the first couple of weeks in non-district. In the 6A family, we went, wow, what's going on here? But not really many surprises yet. Maybe those matchups haven't really been made and created yet. What do you think?
One surprise in 5A. The Noble Bears scored on the Carl Albert Titans. We thought maybe the Titans can go unscore and not allow a point, but Noble gets a touchdown and Speedwalk, 51-yard field goal.
Well, and I did not have this stat in front of me. Kirk Norman, who calls our games for Carl Albert, he in his pregame show was talking about it. He said, not that we talk about it, because Carl Albert, they say we want to win the game. We're not really worried about the score, just we want to win. And so, but he says fans talk about it because, okay, no one had scored on them yet. It's kind of like your defense at Guthrie last year. You weren't allowing anybody to score on you too. So what was the record? Well, Kirk, I think he pulled up a team in 1934, I think, that went 11 games without being scored upon. And then the last closest was, I think, 2014, and I think it was 9 games. So that wasn't about 10 years ago. There was a team that, and I forget what, and I didn't have it in front of me, but I said, oh, someone did their homework about when's the last time and what it could be. But yeah, and I think Coach Dunn told the team afterwards he was kind of done with it because, because that was all the talk. He says, okay, now we can put that to bed. Someone has scored on us now, so let's just go out and do business from here on out. So, yeah, that was something because, that they have really been playing that tight defensive ball as well as what they can do offensively as far as Carl Albert's concerned.
Yeah, and I think, Collinsville, they lost their quarterback, from my understanding. Skylar Mormon, junior quarterback, came back last week, which will really, really help them. I think they have enough time to get ready to kind of get meshed together in the regular season and then take their chances in the postseason. So Collinsville got their quarterback and the running back. I think it was the running back, Rigby's name, second game to be back from injury. So that will definitely help the east side. Dell City, obviously the strongest team on the east side. I think McAllister is a very good team. McAllister, very similar to Guthrie. I think they play very good defense, and they just got enough playmakers to be respectable on offense. So Dell City, McAllister on the east side. We'll see how Collinsville can gel together with all their injuries. Claremore, they dropped their first game of the year last week as well. So there's only one undefeated team in 5A football in Carl Alberts. So 5A is going to be interesting. A lot of great first round matchups and second round matchups. Obviously, everything runs through Carl Albert and Del City. After that, you have a good conversation piece with MacArthur, a solid number 3. Then after that, you have a good conversation between 4 through 8.
Well, I was in before we go on with that. It was interesting because I saw your picks, and you can go check that out. And you've got a show that you do, and you posted on your Facebook page. And I said, "Oh, you have MacArthur up there high, and no one really else has done that." So I was just kind of curious of how you put them as high as they are, with how the season has been going.
Well, in preseason rankings, I had MacArthur at number 4. I had Collinsville at that number 3 spot. So it's not just because I'm picking MacArthur this week because the team's losing. I saw MacArthur last year come to Guthrie, and Guthrie, won it pretty handily on the scoreboard. But you can tell with all those sophomores that are now juniors, how talented they are. And you got to be able to throw the football to be successful, I think, in 5A football. You can get by with it with, some of the schedules. It's not the toughest schedules in some weeks, but when it comes down to playoff time or in big games, I think passing the football is a big deal. MacArthur's reeled off some victories. They dropped the first one to Elgin 28-7, which Elgin is going to be a lot of people, but MacArthur is taking care of business. MacArthur was favored in all those games after Elgin, and they took care of business. So I think MacArthur's ability to throw the football, Coach Manning's offensive mind has been good for years now, learning from his dad, obviously. So it was not. I had MacArthur in the top 5 the entire year. So one little hiccup against Elgin. They're still a solid 5A ball club.
So in that mix there, we had, you mentioned that sophomore group. There's 3 of them that we really and we had it on our coaches show last week. And I personally and this is old school, you'll get it. Older listeners that are listening will get it. I nicknamed them the triplets. And I said, do you know what that means when it comes to Dallas Cowboy folklore? Well, They knew the Dallas Cowboys. And I said, all 3 of them, of course, shook their head. No, they did not know what the triplets were. And so I mentioned the name. And this is the surprising thing. They knew who Troy Aikman was.
The TV announcer.
Right. Well, but no, they knew that he was a quarterback.
Okay.
So I said, well, I'll give you that. Well, plus he's got Oklahoma ties, a little bit. So there's maybe a family member has talked about it in the past, but they did not know who Emmitt Smith was. And that's what threw me off. I said, wow. I said, I really feel old, and
yes.
Forget Michael Irvin, of course, with always because he's being on ESPN, but they really are. And that really, and I go back to that game because of how Guthrie was defensively last year, how stingy and how they did not allow it. And when we were able to go deep a couple of times with that sophomore wide receiver at that time, quarterback connection, I said, okay, we may have something special here as just sophomores. So yeah, they've really kind of gelled in that junior year. The 2 of them didn't get on connection with Elgin. And in fact, the quarterback said that they went and practiced after practice afterwards for routes because they were really kind of disappointed that they were not able, because that's a timing route, a deep ball is how it's thrown and who's going to run underneath it, so that is kind of special to see. I want to slip a little bit over to 4A a little bit because these are schools that we have, and then I'm going to kind of point you to task on one that you didn't have on yours that I was kind of curious about, but we'll stick with 4A for a second because our Elgin Owls on the network, undefeated, of course, just like they were last year, kind of running the table in that 4A district and in their non-district schedule. And I saw this because I didn't post it. The Daily Oklahoman had switched it because they had Wagner at 1, they had Elgin at 2, Tuttle at 3. And I think maybe because maybe the Oklahomans thinking, well, Tuttle's played Blanchard, that's going to be a tough playoff caliber team. They've played Bethany, that's another playoff team, but they flip-flopped and the Elgin fan base put out, well, I guess maybe someone from Oklahoma has not seen an Elgin Owl football game yet, because why would you throw someone out like that and then dethrone them, especially without a loss or anything? So I'm not trying to defend them or whatever they are, but it is like you, me, and everybody else. It's all opinions, and no, we're not at every game on Friday. A lot of times it's just score watching and maybe some stats here and there. But I found that interesting that someone in the state still, and they got a chip on their shoulder that Elgin is still being doubted even after what they've been able to accomplish these past several years.
One thing's for sure I've learned through Elgin football and Elgin baseball. Elgin fans are passionate and they will always voice their opinion, whether you like it or not. Elgin fan base is passionate. They got a good wrestling program as well. A couple state titles there. As you said, Eric, it does not matter what Chris Evans from Guthrie or the Oklahoman or the Woodward News Press or whoever it is. Rankings are for these conversations here and for the fans out there. It's going to be played on the field. And Elgin has the MacArthur victory and the Newcastle victory. Those are very good victories. Outside of that, it's not the toughest of schedules. The thing with Elgin fans, I certainly think Elgin's going to win that district 4A1. I'm certainly thinking Wagner's going to win that 4A3 district. So we'll find out. I think that'll be a state semifinal game. So it'll definitely be on the writing on the wall there, because Wagner, who I do have as the number one team, my brother, who is on the show with me, totally disagrees. He has Elgin number one. His opinion doesn't matter either, but I tease. But it's going to be played on the field. Yeah, it'll be played on the field. That's a state semifinal game. If you're Tuttle,
I'm glad you brought up that bracket stuff, because I didn't really, you went ahead and looked way ahead to see that side of the bracket. You're almost like a coach, because I've also noticed that Carl Albert and Del City will also meet in a semifinal, and it will not be a rematch of, maybe the two best teams will play in the finals like they did last year. Nope. Not this year, because of how that alignment is when you cross bracket from an east side to a west side and how that lands. And we'll get into that when it gets to playoff time of how that's determined, because there is a science to that. But yeah, that's another one. So you could have Wagner and Elgin, possibly. This kind of reminds me of MacArthur in 2014. The state championship game was really MacArthur and McAllister in the semifinals, I think, is the two best teams that year. And that was played out right there. So if you have Wagner and Elgin in the semifinals and you have Del City and Carl Albert in the semifinals, that's just how that's going to shake out.
Yeah. And, mention Elgin and Wagner being on the same side. Either Tuttle or Blanchard is going to be on that same side as well. So if you're in 4A2, if you're Tuttle Blanchard, you need to win your district to have those three powerhouses on top of the bracket while you go down the bottom of the bracket. It's not easy. Yeah. Any playoff game is not easy, but the oxygen's a little bit more clear on the bottom half of that bracket. So
half to the state championship game, and then whatever happens. You get in the semifinals and the top four. Okay,
and real quick, Eric, the Class 4A is by far I love Class 4A this year. If there was one class that I had to follow, and you couldn't see any other scores from any other class or whatever, I would choose Class 4A. It is a fun class. I mean, you have Blanchard is on an 18-game winning streak, and we're not even talking about them in the top three. You got Bethany, who's on the rise. Just think Newcastle went up to 5A. They'd be in the middle of the mix of 4A too. So 4A is just a plethora of great teams.
Okay, so I want to go down to the A schedule there, because we picked up Walters last year, and they've lost. The only one loss was one loss, and you had Minko in there. You didn't have Walters in your top 10 there. And so I was kind of curious on what your feeling is with that. I know we don't get to see these classes as much, but that will be decided too this week, because Walters does play Minko in Walters this week. So have you heard anything about them? Of course, they got DJ Palmer, as one of our OSN nominees for Player of the Year last year, comes back and is really putting up some great numbers and stuff like that. So really kind of, coming from the depth of Walters, who's that? I mean, that's a team that only had one or a couple of wins every season, and they made the playoffs last year. They've kind of built on from that, but I think that Walters-Minko matchup on Thursday is going to be really interesting.
Yeah, Minko is at Walters, both teams with one district loss there. But first off, Minko head coach Brock Wardlaw Him and his brother have been great coaches throughout the years. They had their starts over in O'Keene, but Walters, they have a very, very good senior class. I think that those last 3 years, that senior class has compiled for a record of 22-6. Now they're allowing 20 points a game, scoring 37 points a ball game in Walters. And I've had them in and out of the top 10, but obviously, their one loss was Christian Heritage, which is not a bad loss when you look at it. But their best win on the year, Velma Elma, the comments there. But this week for sure will let us know all about what we need to know. It's a big game because Minko and Walters, more than likely, this game could decide a home playoff game.
Right. And then I think Minko, they've lost a lot to graduation. And so they're kind of having to come back and regroup. And, kind of that's what I was told about Jones. And we'll kind of flip back over to Jones. You have them like in the top 5 as number 4 in your slot. And Jones, I was told, when they're new at school this fall, and they said, well, I don't know what to expect. I mean, we're this close, this close to going to a finals. And I said, yeah, I know. And we lost a lot to graduation, but that talks about a program. And when you have a program, you just kind of reload, so to speak. And, you get kids plugged in and they're very young, but Jones is still holding their own and doing quite well. This, I was told that, and they're playing, I think, your 10 slotted opponent. That will be a deciding factor. I was told that this will really kind of find out who Jones is this coming week on Thursday.
Yeah, Jones, man, you talk about the district 2A1. Of course, Millwood kind of leads that right now, and Millwood up there with Washington as the 2 teams. Of course, they've been playing the state championships the last couple of years. But, you look at Jones, Coach Kevin Witt's done a fantastic job since taking over that one. Millwood gave it to him pretty good, but I think Jones should be able to win out the rest of their games. They'll have a good one with OCS in week 9 of the football season, but Jones just in a very tough district. But I think Jones they can be find that second spot in there behind Millwood. Then you have Chisholm, Perry, and OCS. I mean, there's one team that's not going to get in the playoffs because of how good that is. But I think Millwood and Jones are the top 2 teams there, unless there's some prize that we're not seeing.
Well, and and now that we have 13 schools, I was thinking, the last couple of years, we've been very fortunate that at least half or more than half of the teams we cover go into the playoffs. And that's a good problem to have, and you have some of them that go all the way to the end. And so we're the biggest fans of every one of our schools, of course. And so it's kind of fun to watch. I do like breaks. I don't really get too much of one on this Thursday fall break. I said, this is reverse of last week. Last time we have 10 games and 3 are only played on Friday, the other 10, and I'm one of the 10 on Thursday. So I really don't get to see a lot of those games, but there'll be a few. I got Newcastle, Dell City, and who's my last one? I'll think of it in a minute. Eisenhower. Eisenhower is at home. Because Lawton High has played their Thursday at home. So when you have a shared stadium, those fall break games can always say, okay, well, one's only going to get Thursday and the other one's Friday. So, so that Lawton High will play Thursday. So Eisenhower will play Piedmont on Friday.
Well, that's good because then I have something I can watch on Friday when Guthrie's at home against Western Heights. So that gives me something to do.
Piedmont Wildcats, who's bumped up to 6A2 now out of the 5A ranks. That's interesting.
That 5A was hard business. That 6A2 stuff's easy for Piedmont. One more note, Eric, if you don't mind, on 2A1, Mount St. Mary is probably the 6th best team in that district, and they're 4-2 overall. And so, can I ask a question to Eric?
Sure.
You talked about
I may not have an answer, or I may not have the correct answer, but I don't mind.
No, I think you do. It's Westmore and Southmore opened up their new stadiums this year, and you're talking about a shared stadium. Any discussions? Lawton's one of the few schools. I know Norman still shares one, but any thoughts? Will it be 5, 10, 20 years of maybe each school having their own football? I know they made some upgrades to what would be called practice fields.
Well, no, they're technically, they put the stands, they put the press box. They don't have, and especially MacArthur's, that would be a parking nightmare. MacArthur and Lawton High is kind of sandwiched in the downtown area. Eisenhower's got a little bit more room and more space, but I think it's really if they add more bleachers on it, because this was fascinating. The other day we did our last regular volleyball game about 2 weeks ago, or it was like a week ago Monday, and Eisenhower was having their senior night on volleyball. So I was coming out, and it was a rare thing because usually there was no lights over there before, and there was lights on, and there was fans in there, and they were playing a JV game for football. And I went, wow. I said, that is special for Lawton, because all three of them have upgraded baseball, softball, and football fields. They've got MacArthur has already got their concession with new bathrooms, and that's up adjacent, connected to where the middle school is. To answer your question, I think it's going to really boil down to, can you get more seating in there? You can do it for soccer. You can do it for JV, freshman football, no problems. But a varsity game, I don't know yet. I mean, I think, what is it going to take? Now, if MacArthur is playing like, one of the inner city schools that come, you could probably do that. And I think there is something to say about having a home field. But yeah, with the more schools doing that too, and you're doing away from a shared stadium experience. And I just was there doing the baseball for the NFHS at UConn, and holy cow, they got that whole just tore up. And I come around the corner of the baseball facility and I said, what are they doing over here? And he says, oh, that's a full indoor, that's going to be 100 yards indoor stadium to use as practice. And I said, well, it's good to be UConn here, but so yeah, you can see that's the trend. So they've passed bond issues before. They made it work. And I think the best way to make it work is when you pass a bond, you show the public what you're doing with the money. And when they see that, okay, you've upgraded baseball, softball, all of football, we see that, we believe in that. So who knows? I'm optimistic. That's the direction. I'm all for it if they can find a solution for it.
Yeah. Guthrie baseball was in the Elgin baseball regional last year, got rained out in Elgin. So they moved the games to Lawton Eisenhower. And while we were there playing baseball, they had Little League football over there playing. So I got to see that facility, and it's super nice. And you're right, parking, which was not horrible at Lawton High for baseball, but I can see that being an issue there. But it's a step in the right direction. It's great to see. I know to have your home field would be awesome to have one day.
Well, and the thing is, you're a traditionalist. That would be like saying, do you want to change the rock? Do we not want to play here in this nice, because parking there is a little bit of a challenge. You're parking in the main, it kind of reminds me of Norman, the stadium is sandwiched right there in the smack dab of the city, and you're parking here and there, but it's a wonderful experience. And I love going there last year. And I think that was Coach Brett Manning's first time to go there. I mean, a plan to go to Guthrie that very often. I had been there a couple of times before, and I said, oh, it's a neat experience, because Altus has got that kind of rock formation, old WPA program stadium too. But you guys have the upgraded stands and, all of the nice restrooms and stuff like that, concession stands. So you make it new with that old feel. And I love the nostalgia, and hats off to the Taft stadium too. And they said, yes, and I don't know how much that cost. I think someone threw in, if this is correct, or if it's not, you can call me on it, $720,000 or $750,000 to just make that old Taft wall with the big steel beams to still have that area as, okay, this is historic. This is what people remember it. Let's not take it completely away. And I love that. I'm a traditionalist, old guy at heart when it comes to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and Oklahoma City Schools also updated Spiegel Stadium and I think they're getting close to finishing up the John Marshall football stadium as well. So
okay. Well, and that's why I said, if this is the trend, and before, way back, Lawton was, oh wow, Lawton played at Cameron Stadium, and
right.
And then when Cameron had a football program, and so everything was so now it's like, okay, well, now what are you going to do? Nothing against using Cameron, but it's having your own facilities and your own place is really the best way to go. And I think there are inroads that look like that's going to happen, I guess, is the best way. And I don't have any inside information. I would just say that the future looks positive and it looks good.
That's awesome. I was glad to hear that. And yeah, the facilities on the east side of the state are, I went to, I've covered a couple of games in Owasso, nothing too, they have the nice big end zone, but It is nice. Union, I mean, I think they forked in almost $40 million for their football stadium. Jinx is nice. It's not as big as you would think it would be as far as holding as many people. But yeah, Deer Creek's got a nice facility. It's always nice to go to these facilities and where they've come and where they are. And it takes a commitment. Those things cost a lot of money, especially in today's world. So it's not like you can just throw a couple million at it. You got to throw a whole bunch of million at it to do it right.
Well, yeah, and the backdrop that you're using at UCO, I mean, it's just incredible. The transformation of when you remember what it was to what it is now. And now the OSSAA says, sure, we'll have our state final games right here, everything here in December, because that's really a nice upgrade. And that was because a donor and his name's on the building. Now it's got like Boone Pickens. You say, hey, I want it to be special and we'll make it special. And I'll write the figures. Just tell me how many zeros I need to sign the check for,
Yeah, you can't miss it. It's on the stadium. It's on the marquee sign. It's on the road. It's on the soccer field. It is on the wrestling room. It's everywhere. You can't miss it. But it's also helped out the UCO football team.
You wanted the Chris Evans complex. I mean, you'd have that. I'd have that name bigger than lights. I mean, just like welcome to the Chris Evans complex.
There is a Chris Evans that could probably do that. It's another guy, they call him Captain America. He makes movies on the side. That's probably the Chris Evans that would probably get that done. There would have to be a lot of things that go right for me to get that on there. But
it'd be a lottery win, right?
It's working well for UCO's football team. They're, I think, number 11 in the nation or something like that. So.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, and upgrading, can boost stuff up. I always talk about facilities and getting.
Hey, Elgin.
Yes,
Elgin's got great facilities. Now they have the cemetery. They have the cemetery that kind of throws it off a little bit. But football, baseball, basketball, performance art, it's all there. But there is a cemetery that you have to kind of overlook.
It existed before the school advance, is all you can say, because what are you going to do? You're going to say, okay, we're going to remove all this? No. So it's you build around it. So yeah, they've got a great stuff. Well, I don't know. I think we've run the gamut. Does that cover all of it? I mean, we didn't even talk about, volleyball and softball. They're kind of coming to their conclusions with regionals, and that's a fast paced thing. But once I always see the radar that they're having theirs, I said, oh, it's starting to get excited for football's next, because they're wrapping things up for the year.
Yeah, AB, 2A baseball and softball got their seasons finished up last weekend. Appreciate you, Oklahoma Sports Network, helping out once again with that.
That was a great experience there at UConn, and these are familiar. This is who we see in the spring, so it's kind of like okay. These are spring championship games as fall, but and it was a great game too. And one thing and the coaches that called it was good. This was the type of baseball that, and I said compliments against what MLB had to do with a clock. These guys were all business. It was next pitch up. It wasn't, scrape the dirt, get the call, shake it off, do another. It's right straight down. We're just pitching, we're hitting, we're batting. And, it's not that it has to be a quick game, but I'm just saying they weren't dragging this out. And it made it fun, because it was just back and forth, and one bad inning for one team, which that made the difference, because it was basically a 1-1 game for the longest. And then all of a sudden, boom, it comes in streaks like that. But yeah, I liked it. It was enjoyable.
Yeah, we were doing baseball at the same time as you were, and we had Dell and Silo for one game, and we were talking about how both pitchers pitched the ball, got back on the mound, and went right back to it. There was no pitch clock was even thought about.
They didn't need a pitch clock at all.
No.
Young kids are out doing the majors. It's like, this is how it's done. Next man up. Here we go.
And a lot of people, we are a lot of our audience is 6A, 5A schools, but those schools that play fall baseball and spring baseball, they're fun to watch. Fort Cobb Broxton, one of the teams that you had, they have won again. And they beat Calumet.
They don't have any, they don't have those other sports. I mean, that and what they do, they do very well. And so
they do very well. In the Fort Cobb Broxton, they've won so many over the last years. And then you have a team like Calumet who hasn't won a whole championships, but they had one of their best runs in ever school history, making the state championship a couple of years, and they just run into a gamblet and
they just run into that. They play second fiddle to it. I mean, but that they'll get there, because experience will show, and so they'll get a good run. So yeah.
Yep.
Well, Chris, I appreciate it. One more little dose of all the things that you can promote, because Guthrie News page you've got the little huddle. Why don't you talk a little bit about that, where they can get more high school football?
Yeah, appreciate that. It's called the High School Huddle. Me, my brother, and my big bald buddy, assistant. We do a Wednesday night show every Wednesday, every week of the high school football season, all the way through week 15. It's called High School Huddle on our YouTube channel, which is Second Banana Media, and we just talk football like we do right here, and we talk stuff on and off the field, and our top 5 games of the week, our top 5 rankings, and then top 10 games of the week. We pick them and see how good we are. I did go 9-1 last week, so I am getting better. I'm getting better, Eric, as the season. I'm getting a little bit better. So,
is there a pizza at the end of this? Is there some kind of a friendly wager at the end of the year for who's got the best record?
It's all about bragging rights. It's all about bragging rights. Yeah.
I'm better than you are. Yeah.
Yep, that's all it is. That's all it is.
Well, we appreciate your time, and I'm not done with you yet, not until we get through this season, because it gets more enjoyable every week and more to talk about, and that's what these podcasts are all about. So whoever's listening, we certainly appreciate it. You can get us on Spotify. You can watch us on YouTube. Get us on Apple, wherever you go and get your downloads there for podcasting. So, Chris, I appreciate your time, and, of course, we'll kind of wrap things up as we have kind of closed out with one reminder that for those who are listening and want to watch, we've got 10 slated games for Thursday during fall break. We've got 3 games on Friday. As I mentioned in the very beginning of the podcast, make sure you download our app. App-driven app is the way to go, because you get all the live games at the very top. You don't have to go into each channel to find a game. All the games are loaded up for you in the live presentation. Just download it. It's free to download, free to watch, the Oklahoma Sports Network on Apple and Android devices. Also, Roku, Amazon Fire, and Apple TV. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. And then on Facebook, you can follow us there. You can follow us on Instagram and on X as well. So episode 13 in the books here from the Cameron Cetus podcast room. You've been watching the Point After, a presentation of the Oklahoma Sports Network.